Good evening. This is Monday, September 10th, Integers video lesson. What we'll be doing today is looking at adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing whole number integers. We're just going to look back over the rules that you guys have learned the last couple of years. What you will need is your spiral, your flip chart notes, and a highlighter if you've got one. If you don't have a highlighter, you can just use a pen to underline the things that I want you to highlight. So let's get moving. First thing you do is go to your spiral, go to the next available page, and this is how you're going to set it up. And of course, your Cornell note fashion. You got September 10th, that should be 2012, not 2011, so let's change that real quick. And this is section 14, 15, and 16 out of the textbook. So give yourself a moment, pause if you need to, and set up your spiral. All right, so now we're to our flip chart notes. So take out your flip chart notes and open them to where it says integer rules. This is where I want to start doing some of the highlighting. Basically, what I want to highlight is the rules that you need to know. So first of all, adding. Start with adding. First two rules up here. It says adding when signs are the same. You're going to add and carry the same sign. Okay, add and carry the same sign. So if they're both positive, it's going to be a positive answer. If they're both negative, it's going to be a negative answer. But when the signs are different, you subtract and then keep the sign of the larger number, which means the sign of the number with the higher absolute value, whether it's positive or negative. So that just depends on which number is bigger. You'll keep that sign. Okay, and then there's the example for that. Now, with subtraction, we don't subtract integers. We change it basically to an addition problem. And really there's one main situation that we look for. So again, what you're doing is you're changing the subtraction sign to addition, changing the sign of the second number, and then you're just using the addition rules. Now, I kind of teach this a little bit different than you may have learned in 7th grade. If I do see the situation right here where it's minus and negative, I do just combine those together and make those a plus sign. So it is still -3 plus 4, okay, to get to your answer. And I'll kind of show you those techniques as we go along here. So what I want to do real quick is I want us to kind of look at how this looks visually on a number line and tiles. And I'm just going to do a couple of problems like this, and then you can do a couple on your own. So if we look at number 1, it's already done for you, and you can see the number line that was produced where you started at 0 and went to -8, and then you went back in the +7 direction, takes you back to -1. You can also see the tiles over here where you can use plus or minus signs. You start off with 8 negative tiles, you combine that with some positive tiles, and for every negative and positive you have, you basically cross them out. What are you left with? Okay, you're left with -1. Those are called zero pairs that we're canceling out there. So if we look at the next one, let's quickly draw a number line in, and you should be doing the same thing. You always want to start with 0, but you kind of want to look at your problem and see what we need to do. We're going to put 0 on this end, 1, 2, 3. Only because what the problem tells us is you always start at 0. I'm going to go 3 in the positive direction, all right? And then you're going to go back -2. So you're going to go back 2 in the negative direction. And wherever that ends up, of course, is what your answer is. So your answer is a +1. Now, if we look at that in the number tile situation, I've got 3 positives and I've got 2 negatives. For each 0 pair we have, they cancel each other out. Of course, what's left is, again, a +1. All right? So let's kind of look at one more like that. Actually, I take that back. I want you to do number 3 on your own. So follow the same 2 procedures as number 1 and 2. Pause if you need to pause the video, and do number 3 on your own. All right. Now look at one more. Let's look at number 6 together. Draw your number line. Okay, based off kind of my numbers, I'm going to have to put 0 up on this end. All right, so here we go. We start off at 0 always. We go to the -3 spot. But this then says we're still taking 2 away, so you're going to start the -3 spot and go 2 more in the negative direction. And where does that put us? It puts us at a -5. So same concept over here with the minus signs, or with the plus and minus signs with the tiles. You have 3 negatives. You combine that with 2 more negatives, and of course, you're going to have 5 negatives altogether. So it still gives you a -5. Now, number 7, this is the situation we were dealing with, okay? If you look here, you can't minus a negative here. That basically switches to a plus sign. So now I have 3 plus 2, which we all know is a +5. All right, so let's look at our multiplication and division rules, which actually are a little bit simpler than the adding and subtracting. When the signs are the same, when you're multiplying and dividing, you get a positive answer. When the signs are different, you get a negative answer. So if it says to multiply, you just multiply. If it says to divide, you just divide. But then you just have to look at whether the signs are the same or if they're different, and that determines whether it's positive or negative. All right, let's move on. Now these you're going to write over in your spiral. These, of course, just a few practice problems to kind of go over the rules, make sure we understand. One of the systems that I tend to like to use is what's called a money system. If you think as positive numbers as having money and negative numbers as owing money, because we tend to like money, we tend to do a little bit better with thinking of how positive and negatives work. So if I look at the first problem, if I owe $9, doesn't matter who to, a friend, but I have $9, if I give back what you owe, because you always pay back what you owe, then what am I going to have? You're not going to have anything, because if you owe 9 and you have 9 and you pay that back, you have 0. So let's look at the next problem. Again, you're writing these down in your spiral. If I have $3, but I owe $5, then once I've paid back again what I owed, well, I don't actually have enough. So if I pay back the $3, do I still owe money? Yes. I'm still going to owe -$2 once I've given the 3 that I already have. All right, let's look at one more. Again, if I owe $4, but I have $7, again, when I pay back this $4, because I have more than I owe. So once I pay that back, am I still going to have money? Yes, I'm still going to have $3, and that's your answer. So using this technique, would you please do the next 3 problems? So again, pause the video. So you're going to want to pause. All right, you're going to want to write those 3 down and solve them. So do that now. All right, so let's look at the subtraction, okay? Because remember, we don't necessarily subtract. We don't actually subtract. We change it to an addition problem. So I'm going to do a couple with you, and then I'm going to have you work out a couple on your own. So in this situation, you can see that I've got the minus the negative situation. And when you see that, your automatic response combined to make a plus sign. So now I just have 12, I have 8, so now I have $20. Okay, so you do this one on your own. So again, pause the video if you need to. Now, if we look at the next situation, even though we could use keep, change, or, you know, where you change the minus sign to a plus sign, I actually just think of this as 2 separate numbers, all right, that you are adding together. There, you know, basically you're eliminating the keep, change step. You are still adding, so that basically that line I'm putting there says I'm adding these 2 numbers, but I'm just not going through the process of keep, change. So it's kind of one of those neat shortcuts. So I owe $12 and I owe $5 because they're both negative numbers now. So how much am I going to owe altogether? I'm going to owe $17. So again, would you try this one on your own? All right. Now we're going to multiplication division real quick. You can see that if it says to divide, we're going to divide. The signs of the set are different, so it's a negative answer. Here we're going to multiply because it says to multiply, but the signs are the same, so it's a positive answer. And then the last thing is you're going to be going back to the school website, and you're going to be going to these 3 websites here in order to practice your integers. And then when you're done, we will talk about what you learned the next day in class.